Indiana Fever played the Las Vegas Aces. Aces won in overtime. They're going to the finals. How did this happen? Let's talk about it. First, let me say that in one of my last videos that I posted concerning, this game, I spoke about how it could be a clean game or a dirty game and what that meant. On the court, the Indiana Fever and the Las Vegas Aces, one team played clean, one team played dirty. But wait a minute, there was another team on the floor. The refs played dirty. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. And I want to just, I want it to be about real talk, period. The Fever have come a long way. And considering they have all the injuries they had, you know, 5, 6 players that are out, having to take on 3 hardship players, get them trained up quickly, considering what happened with Kelsey on the floor, all of this definitely contributed to what didn't happen on their part in the game. But I want to also say to you that the Indiana Fever did not play up to par where they should have when they knew they were going to be playing the Aces. Their defense was not continual throughout all 4 quarters. They turned over the ball too many times. We saw that. These things contributed to the loss. Okay, someone's got to lose, someone's got to win. We got that. But when you go onto a court and you're a team like the Indiana Fever and you're playing against the Aces who have members on that team who like to flop, like to be dramatic, have shenanigans going on, like to push people almost to the ground or to the ground, all those kind of things, saying it was a basketball play. And when you're playing with also the third team, which is the refs, who are not calling the fouls they should and who are calling fouls that didn't happen. It's almost comical. Because, and I say this because, don't they know that we see it? I mean, sure, there's probably people who watch the WNBA and just look over what the refs are doing and just watch the women as they play up and down the court. And there are some people who get really excited over an injury, get excited over a fight on the court, get excited over all those things. They get really energized by those things. And then there's some of us who just want to see clean basketball. That when we see the disruptions, when we see the chaotic behavior, when we see the shenanigans and the drama and the flopping and what the refs aren't doing and what they are doing, we see it. Refs, we see it. Aces, we see it. And we also see when there's a team like the Indiana Fever who play with heart, who have tenacity, who have resiliency, and they've shown it because no one thought they were going to make it to the playoffs. No one thought they were going to win any games after, CC and Sophie and different people got, sidelined. No one thought they'd make it to the semifinals. And no one thought they'd make it to the 5th game and only lose in overtime in the semifinals. So kudos to the Indiana Fever. Indiana Fever, y'all did so good. And you definitely have to be commended on your tenacity, your resilience, and what you've shown us as a team throughout the regular season and this playoff season. Can't no one take from you what the fans saw in you. It wasn't about the I, it was about the we. Absolutely. When y'all responded on the court, it was like watching poetry in motion. It was beautiful. And you had so many fans rooting for you and behind you and was seeing you. Despite all of the fumbling with the other teams, specifically the Aces, despite all of the stuff regarding the refs or whatever, guess what? They were watching y'all. Because see, some people think that what would be remembered from the semifinals 5th game or this tournament series with the Aces, they gonna, people think they're gonna remember the Aces, and that they won the semifinals, to go into the finals, and all this kind of stuff. I don't think so. You know what they're gonna remember? How well the Indiana Fever played, and how much they really, showed up and showed out until the end of the game, as much as they possibly could. Even though Kelsey was down, even though Boston had fouls on her, and was off the court, even though people got pushed around and shoved, okay, they still were doing the best that they could, given what was going on and who they were playing against. And you know what they're gonna remember? They're gonna remember the flops. They're gonna remember how such a team like the Aces have to resort to flopping, have to resort to being basically violent on the court, in terms of banging into Lexi all the time, trying to bang into other players, tip them off, going up high for try to knock off a layoff and knocking someone off, out on the ground. That was like, could have been like so hurtful to that player on the Fever, to Sims. And then thinking that they did something, and applauding and thinking they did something after that. It was a foul, and it should have been upgraded. You didn't do anything, right? So they remember the dirty plays. They're gonna remember how the Aces had to win in the way they had to win, and how the refs rescued them. They're gonna remember all these things. This is what's gonna go down in history. But they're gonna remember the Indiana Fever and what they did through the regular season, despite injuries. What they did through the playoffs, what they did in the semifinals, and what they did in the fifth game of the semifinals. This is what people will remember, for sure. I know I will. So, Indiana Fever, y'all just deserve so, much applause, because you have did what others thought you couldn't do. You have gone further than people thought that you could even have the capacity to do so. And you just like said, you know what? Watch this. You, Indiana Fever, are warriors. You, Indiana Fever, are like heroes to lots of boys and girls who watch the sport, and how y'all keep it together and keep it composed for the most part. So that when the little ones watch you play, when the young boys and the young girls watch you play basketball on TV, or they show up for the games, they see positive basketball behavior. They see sportsmanship. There you go, sportsmanship. And can't no one can take that from you. No one can say that doesn't exist in the Indiana Fever. And I love watching y'all play. Kelsey, I'm glad that you're doing okay. I'm glad you're on the mend. Lexi, you played your heart out. And it was such a wonderful thing to watch you just like be off the chain, so to speak, doing what only you can do. All of y'all, Petty, Sims, Howard, Timpson, all of you, Turner, Boston. Boston, you showed up and showed out. You have been wonderful to watch grow over this last year or two. Wow. So, hey, y'all just rest, get better, because the fans of the Indiana Fever are going to be waiting to see y'all next season, if there's going to be a next season. Thank you, Indiana Fever, for your sportsmanship. Thank you for the way you handled yourself on and off the court. And thank you for showing us fans and the whole world what it means to be a good basketball team that are resilient, that are committed, that they know it's a team effort, it's a we effort, because that's what you did. Now, I also want to talk about one other thing, the Napheesa Collier statement, and I'm sure all of y'all saw it. It was off the chain. I know that's an old expression, but it definitely was. Collier just spoke her mind. She didn't care about getting fined. She didn't care about, it wasn't about winning or losing, as she said. It was so good to see to hear what she said, because what she said was a lot of what everybody, probably in the organization, player wise, for the most part, a lot of players probably want to say, have been wanting to say for a long time. Cathy Engelbert is not beneficial to the players at all, not beneficial to the game of basketball, women's basketball at all. Because guess what? These are my thoughts, and I said it before, I'll say it again. If stuff is going on with the refs and it's not being attended to, they have a boss. If their boss is not dealing with them appropriately, they have a boss. If their boss is not, dealing with their boss appropriately, you know, and then their boss, not dealing with it, guess what? People are condoning behavior. When you condone behavior, that means you're with it. That means you're with it. Some kind of way you're attached to it, like Velcro, and you permit it. And I think somewhere I was reading how Cathy made a statement about how, I think it was said, and also in Collier's statement about how physicality doesn't have nothing to do with the refs and their calls or whatever. Of course it does. If you let players get away with not calling things, like harsh treatment to other players, if you let refs get away with doing whatever they want to do and making calls for this one but not for that one, when the same things happen, when it's unfair, people get upset, and it comes out on the court. And then you have more physical activity. And when you get away with it, they think you're sanctioning it. So they're like, okay, I can go out and push her down, and I might get a foul. That's it. I can go and shove her from the back. I can go and like crash down on her when she's going off for that layup, and nothing's going to happen. And in certain refs, that's the case. That's the case. And so somewhere in Cathy Engelbert's, realm or whatever, she is like saying, the refs are okay. Everything's fine with them because she's condoning. She's with it. And whoever her boss is with it. They're letting her do it. Get away with it. Okay? So Napheesa Collier's statement was spot on, and it was powerful. It was powerful. And I believe that if that does not shake the tree, so to speak, to drop the bad apples off the tree, then I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to do it. And guess what? Imagine this. Imagine in 2026, the WNBA think everything's copacetic, but they haven't signed a new CBA. The players are on strike. They don't know if there's going to be a season in 2026 or 27. And maybe some of the other players get together as a whole with people that they know and start another association. Start playing there. Imagine that. No more Cathy Engelbert. No more people, getting away with stuff on the court. No more refs that are like rigged, right? What about that? So I applaud Napheesa Collier for stepping up, no matter what the fine is going to be, and just saying, hey, this is what was said to me. This is what she said, and I want y'all to know this is what she said. This is what Cathy said. Pull her covers right there. And boy, I bet she didn't like that at all. But guess what? It's time. It's time that whatever's done in the dark, whatever's done underhandedly, whatever's said behind closed doors, whatever's said in a little whisper, comes to the light. Expose it. Expose the refs. Now, what if the WNBA would expose how many refs they have reprimanded or fined because of their behavior? Would that ever happen? But you know what? The thing that really gets me is that it makes me actually a little sad about how refs and certain members on certain teams have to flop and hurt other players and get them injured, even injure other players, and then say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I really didn't mean to do that." You know what that sounds like to me? How many times have you heard, either on the news, like say of a wife or a spouse, um, who was being hurt by their spouse, you know, said, that they said they would never do it again, but they hurt him again. Oh, they said that they were sorry and they hurt him again. How many times did y'all see that on the news? That's what it sounds like to me. You can say you're sorry until the cows come home. If you repeat the behavior, guess what? Sorry don't cut it. Right? I mean, come on. Tell me I'm wrong. If you repeat the same behavior over and over again, the same kind of attitude over and over again, the same kind of calls and the same kind of this, the same kind of that, whether you're plays or refs, saying you're sorry is not going to cut it. Because you're repeating the behavior over and over and over and over again. So I know this is not the usual way that I do a recap, but I need to get this stuff out and need to be said because, I care about women's basketball. But what the WNBA has done is given that a bad name. What they've done under the leadership of Cathy Engelbert is a bad look. It just is. And it's sad. It's sad that people want to hold on to so much power and grasp so much of that for themselves. And makes you wonder, like, why is that? What does that feel like to you? Like, what does it make you if you have all the power or you think you do? What if you have that perception and what does that mean? Not much. To me, it sounds like insecurity, self-doubt, and even fear. So, I don't know. Those are my thoughts about the game, my thoughts about Napheesa Collier's letter, open letter, his statement, and just my thoughts in general about what I've been seeing as I've been watching the sport of women's basketball. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section and what your thoughts are on what happened with the game. What did you see? And like always, my name is Barbara around the WNBA and other sports. And hey, subscribe. It's free. And also give me a thumbs up because it helps. And until next time. If there'll be a next time, we don't know what 2026 has in store for us. Peace and blessings.